Peace, peace, peace. This your brother Monroe Jr. So Cardi B recently came out and she thinks Offset was targeted by cops, and she said that he doesn't own any guns. And Offset's lawyer also repeated the same sentiment pertaining to the cops pulling him over. And they say it was because of the way he changed his lanes. Cardi says she thinks it was the hip-hop cop that targeted Offset. And the guns that were found that Offset received a felony gun possession of, he wasn't even the owner of. It was actually his assistant who had, authorization and whatnot to carry the gun. And according to Cardi, she thinks Offset did not break any type of law to warrant the cops trying to stop him. Offset's lawyer said the cops stopped the rapper for allegedly crossing a double yellow line, but that the stop was unwarranted. And Cardi B was just saying how she wouldn't leave Offset. She was letting all her friends and family know, just because he, if he went to jail and had to do a sentence. I'm gonna play a video, not a video, but an audio of an actual detective talking about their involvement in drugs and stuff of that nature in our community. And I'm also play a clip of Prodigy. Not a clip, but an audio clip of Prodigy talking about the hip hop task force. And like I've been saying in all of these audios and videos, that they are after the wealth of our young brothers. They hate to see them own one. So our young brothers gotta be wise. You got government agencies out here. You got wicked people that want that money. They want that bag, and they see them as an easy target to be able to get some of that bag. So this your brother Monroe Jr. I'm saying
there's a task force that works alongside of them, the hip hop task force. You know what I mean? A lot of people thought it was a myth at first, not true. They tried to deny it at first, but I actually met with the guy that started the task force during my trial, and he was actually helping me with my trial because his name is Derek Parker, and he put a book out called The Hip Hop Cop, and basically he describes how he started the task force, with the captain of his little precinct that he worked in, and they funded him. Basically, they gave him a budget. I guess the budget comes from the state or the government, whatever, and they gave him a budget to do this task force. So the task force really exists, and they target us. Of course, they target us. A lot of it is brought up. We bring it upon ourselves because they know we an easy target. They know we an easy vic. You know what I'm saying? Like they see rappers, they see a rapper, or they see not even a rapper. They see a car that looks like a rapper car. You know what I mean? And some black folks, some Puerto Rican folks driving in or whatever, and they like, yeah, I'm gonna pull this car over because most likely there's a gun or some weed or something in that car right there. We have that stigma put upon us that where it's like they target us for that, and it's not saying if it's wrong or right, but a lot of it we bring upon ourselves because of how we talk in the songs, because of how we carry ourselves. We bring that negative attention to us. So you really can't be mad at these dudes for doing that. It's my job to know that they targeted me, and it's my job to be on point and protect myself from anything that can happen. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't on my job as much as I should have been.
Derek Parker with the task force. Mm-hmm. You mentioned he helped you out with your trial.
Mm-hmm.
So, what really went into being an undercover narcotics cop?
Well, at that time, they were looking for minority officers to be more in the undercover field. It was interesting to me because it was something that was challenging, and I really wanted to do it, just to see how I was and see what it entailed. I really learned a lot because they sent me to the South Bronx, where everything was going on, and I definitely learned a lot back then. Being an undercover cop, buying drugs, not just small scale like street buys, but going in and doing big buys and with major drug dealers.
Okay, like what was the biggest amount you ever bought?
We used to get kilos of coke. I mean, myself, I bought maybe 1 or 2 kilos of coke, but there were guys in my unit that bought like 40, 50 kilos of consignment. Back then it was different, but we had a great team. It was good undercovers and a good team of investigators.
So how do you walk in off the street and say, hey, I want to buy some drugs from you, and I'm not a cop?
Well, back then in the South Bronx, drugs were so bad and so prevalent, they were just open. Everybody was selling everywhere. So it was really like a market. You could just walk in and buy from whoever back then. I mean, they would figure out sooner or later you were a cop, but if you fit description, they wouldn't know if you were a cop or not.
Okay, but how do you get to the point of actually buying kilos? Because at that point, I assume people are a little more paranoid.
Well, that you have to work up to. You just don't. You have to be doing street buys for a while before you even graduate to doing stuff like that. But then, because that entails you wearing a wire, you're going really deep undercover, changing your name, your licenses, everything about you, carrying a nondescript gun. It's a whole different world then. And I was really different back then. I had a big afro with a big beard, an earring, so I looked like everybody else.
Okay, so you would go in, the police would give you a certain amount of money to buy your drugs,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
You would go in, buy the drugs from the dealers, and you'd be wearing a wire the whole time.
On the big buys, yeah.
On the
You'd be
big
wearing a
buys.
wire, yeah.
Okay.
And that's just for your safety, for their safety, because sometimes you would buy these drugs. You don't know if a guy's going to try to stick you up, if he thinks you got money or thinks you got something, he might try to rob you.
So, in the midst of you being an undercover, drug officer, what was like the most serious situation you ever got into? Did you ever feel like you were going to get shot, robbed?
Well, one of the most difficult situations was I was buying a kilo of coke up in the Heights, Washington Heights, and the detective that was with me was a little nervous about going into an apartment with me, so I had to calm him down, like tell him to relax, because he could get us both killed, because we were dealing with guys that had heavy weight, Dominican guys at the time, and they had guns. When you go in an apartment, sometimes they search you or they put a gun to your head, just to check you out. And I told him this would happen. I mean, he never experienced this before, but he was very nervous, and I had been through it several times, but I told him to relax, like, just follow my lead, so this way, if anything happens, we know how to get out of there safe, where none of us gets killed.
Okay, but if they're searching you when they find the wire?
No. Well, the way we did it was that we had it discreetly. Sometimes I might have it in a cigarette box. Maybe I'd have it in my ass. Not that far, but something in a pack, a fanny pack around that area,
Okay.
where they wouldn't search you. And then most of the time, before you made a big buy like that, the dealers knew who you were, because you had bought like 3 or 4 buys to buy up to the big amount, so they knew who you were. So
Okay.
they trusted you.
So you basically would go in, you'd wear a wire, you'd buy the drugs, and then a certain time afterwards, the police would go in and bust the guy,
Yeah.
and then you would testify against him in court?
Yeah, if we had to, unless the guy took a plea. If he took a plea, then you wouldn't, because if his attorney said, look, they got you dead to rights, you might as well take the plea, take the 15 years or whatever, they would just take it on an A1 felony weight.
Okay. Did you ever have to go to court and testify as an undercover?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Several times.
isn't your cover blown at that point?
Well, it is at the time when you're at a trial, yeah, it could get compromised. But by then, the guy who you bought from is already in jail or going to jail. If you're testifying, then there's a good chance that he's going to be convicted.
Okay. And you convicted a lot of people this way?
Yeah.
Hundreds?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of people. Okay. So, at what point did the whole hip hop thing start to kind of enter what you did?
Well, after I left narcotics, I went into Brooklyn.